The full scale of this catastrophe is still emerging. The UK's Primark, just one of many Western retailers buying clothes from factories inside the collapsed building. The company says it's shocked and saddened by what happened. But critics say the Bangladeshi garment industry was already cracking at the seams. Romana Begum has paid the price too. Thanks to the West's appetite for cheap clothes, she had a steady job in the industry. But then her daughter Mukta started work in a factory too. And just a week later, the Tazreen plant caught fire, killing her and more than 100 other workers. From the charred ruins emerged evidence of rampant cost-cutting and safety abuses. Nearly 6 months later, no one's been prosecuted or even arrested. Still living near the abandoned factory, Romana's life is in ruins too.
I couldn't work after she died. Now I have to because we are in debt. If I ever see the owner, I'll burn him alive. Just like he burnt my child to ash and emptied a mother's chest.
The industry has grown fast, too fast, say some, with new factories opening all the time. Attracted by its cheap labour, British retailers have flocked here. Turning Bangladesh into its bargain tailor of choice. At this factory, they make nearly 20 million garments a year for major British brands. This plant is known for its high standards. And when the clothes leave here, they're ready to be put straight on the shelves. You could say this is Bangladesh's industrial revolution. Making cheap clothes for the UK and other Western markets now employs millions of people. It's also helped to empower Bangladeshi women. But the industry is under constant pressure to keep costs down. And while this is one of the better factories, in others, the practices that led to the fire still continue. The capital, Dhaka, is full of smaller factories where safety standards and working conditions are much worse. To keep costs down, it's an open secret that many companies often subcontract to these sweatshop operations. But checking up is almost impossible. We've learned that there are many backstreet operations in this part of Dhaka doing subcontracting work for other factories, including one that has business with the UK. The only way to see for ourselves is to use concealed cameras. And some of our team are going to go inside, posing as local businessmen. The way in is also the only exit if there's a fire. Buckets of sand, the only equipment for fighting a blaze. On the shop floor, we see children working, flouting the official ban. The owner says almost all his work is subcontracted from other factories that use him secretly to fulfill their orders. And some of the clothes made here have been destined for the UK. Even for factories with the best reputations, the pressure is growing. Here, they insist everything is done in-house with no subcontractors.
Our existing customers, they are more vigilant now. They are frequently visiting with notice, unnoticed, and we are also ourselves motivating people we are on high alert. We are taking different kind of initiative. Definitely, this is a wake-up call for us.
So do you think that there needs to be more government regulation?
Yeah, I mean, definitely we have a regulation, but the implementation is not there.
From the offices of her small labour union, Najma Akhtar campaigns for better conditions and workers' rights. It's risky work. Last year, one organiser was found murdered. The case still unsolved. But she says Western buyers are complicit too for turning a blind eye to the industry's cut-price practices.
The buyer are showing they are sleeping, but reality they are not sleeping. So they know all the things in the behind what's going on, but they are showing they doesn't know anything. So the double face should be changed. That is also important because they are always cutting price and asking the better compliance.
But some factories still have questions to answer. We follow one of the government's new fire inspection teams on their rounds. This plant also makes clothes for the UK. Then they test a smoke alarm. But it doesn't work. It's an embarrassing and potentially deadly lapse. The plastic seals are still on the battery. With so many Bangladeshis on the wrong side of the tracks in this densely populated country, it desperately needs the jobs the clothes business provides. The government says it's determined to improve conditions and to close down the worst factories. But his message to Western countries is, don't push us too hard.
If they really want to have this the human rights to be maintained, that is the biggest human right for survival, rights for having a better life. So that is what is very important. And number two is they must be also ready to pay us the real wages.
It's not clear, though, if any extra money would actually reach the people who need it most. Six months since her daughter's death, Ramana finally builds up the courage to visit her grave. Now, hundreds of other Bangladeshis are mourning. And the price of feeding the West's hunger for cheap clothes keeps rising.